Imagine as JD is out there scolding everybody about the reporting of what has happened there with that shooting Wednesday. If everything were to come out like overnight about how he went over there, Mr. President, how he went over there and put his foot down in the stream in East Palestine to help supplant that lying narrative that Norfolk Southern supplanted about the contamination in East Palestine when the wind never even blew in from where the derailment was, where at least 34 railroad containers that were carrying hazardous materials were illegally burned off. That he never had any mention of where it all went, which was Pennsylvania. Imagine that, if only that were to be the truth bomb. I'm serious. Imagine that, sir. If J.D. Vance were to be outed about how he went over there into an area in Ohio where those weren't his constituents, he went out of his way, being such a Mac Daddy, Machiavellian minded. He went over there and he said, all I gotta do is show these multi-billion-dollar corporations that I will do whatever they need. Watch me, look. That's what he did. He said, look, I won't just tell you I'll be there for you. I'll be there. I'm doing it now. That's what he did. He used his authority, his trusted authority, being an elected official, went over there and fucking put his attention on East Palestine, on the stream, instead of where the fucking contamination was that he did not fucking say a peep about. That's fucking J.D. Vance. A lying motherfuck. That's what he is, Mr. President. He's a heartbeat away from your office. He is a fucking liar. A motherfuck liar. Thousands of people in Pennsylvania got fucking dosed with those carcinogenic industrial chemicals, and that fucker went over there, put his attention intentionally on East Palestine, a stream there that might have gotten chemicals in it from the firemen who were putting on a fucking show, acting like they were fighting the fires when they were told to not put out the fires. J.D. Vance knew all that fucking shit. And he went over there and he fucking lied. That's the fucking guy that's scolding the media. The fucking liar. Think about how fucking evil that is, to go over there, to use your authority. I don't give a fuck how much the rest of the devils that fucking hold office in our nation, they said, wow, look at J.D. Vance. That's what some of them said. Wow, that fucking guy, he saw it. Because they know goddamn well that those corporations then would help him. And that's why I know, Mr. President, I know, sir, that they told you they wanted J.D. Vance as your vice president pick. I know that, sir. I know that, sir. I know it. And if there might be somebody new to the job here, the duty of monitoring right now, there is not one fucking shred of evidence that there was ever a wind that blew to the west of where the derailment was. That derailment, the derailment that the corrupt court in northeastern Ohio is carrying only 5 fucking containers, and they're making it a radius settlement, silencing settlement. When half of the fucking people in that fucking lying settlement didn't get any of the fucking contamination. It was all Pennsylvania. And there's a history from the night of the fucking derailment all the way through the massive burn-off, the cleanup of whatever was left on that site on the Pennsylvania border. A complete history on radar and satellite imagery. A complete fucking evidentiary history. J.D. Vance knew that all that shit went into Pennsylvania, and he fucking went over there. The only reason he went over there out of his jurisdiction into another area in Ohio, those weren't his constituents, where he went over there, he put his foot down on the stream, was to show Norfolk Southern and all of the fucking multi-billion-dollar corporations, hey, he was smart enough to know that. You know what? If I show them, I will get behind them. If I take this moment and I use the authority that I have, that trusted authority as an elected official, and I put my foot down on the stream in East Palestine, and I fucking go ahead and supplant their fucking narrative. I know what they're doing. He read the whole thing. He knew it. And that's why he fucking did it. So he could show those fucking multi-billion-dollar corporations that they could fucking count on him no matter what. Whatever the fuck they need. And that's who is a fucking heartbeat away from being our president. That is what the fuck we have. That's a heartbeat away from sitting in the seat in the Oval Office, the presidency. That's what we have, J.D. Vance. That fucking lying criminal fuck. And that's what he is. I want you to know that what I just said is 100 fucking % true. I don't exaggerate. I did not make any of this shit up. That's the truth. That's why he is vice president. And the reason why those corporations went and got behind a Trump administration is because the Biden administration saw the fucking videos that I captured of the fallout, and they went against that Norfolk Southern narrative and fucking went public and said, we see you. We see the contamination there in Western Pennsylvania. And then that's when they fucking... That's why the corporations, that oligarchy, said, you know what, we're going to put our fucking backing behind a Trump administration. And you know what? Look at JD. He's one of us. We want him to be vice president. We want him to be your VP pick. That's what they told President Trump. And if any one of you has that kind of relationship, if you could ever have that relationship with our president and you talk to him, he would tell you, yes, that's right. That's right. J.D. Vance wasn't my pick. But he was the pick of whoever the hell represented that oligarchy, whoever represented those multi-billion-dollar corporations that told President Trump that they were going to put their backing behind him, but they wanted J.D. Vance as vice president. Isn't that something, huh? And you see nothing. You think he'd try to redeem himself, but what's he doing? He just perpetuates his lies. Do you deem that un-American, that I would speak the truth about that matter? About the thousands of our fellow Americans who were left oblivious to be contaminated with those carcinogens? I captured the media on time-stamped cellular video under the fucking fallout that I captured. They were right there. WTAE Channel 4 Action News. They never aired their fucking footage. They never gave warning to the thousands of people that got fucking dosed to whatever degree of those carcinogens. That fucking cocktail of carcinogens. Well, they were given fucking directions to not air the footage. The Ohio authorities were fucking working with Norfolk Southern. And so was J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance knew about the whole fucking thing. J.D. Vance. Which is probably why our president will do nothing to hold those perpetrators accountable. Even knowing that there were thousands of people here that were intentionally left fucking ignorant, never given an opportunity to even tape up their windows and doors to mitigate that contamination. I want you to let that sink in. Again, the morning of the 7th, that Tuesday morning, all the children were out waiting for the fucking bus. Waiting out there, ingesting all those particles. Ingesting all those particles that covered fucking everything here. That when it rained, they fucking gassed, they evaporated, and you could smell and taste those fucking chemicals just like it smelled, and you could smell it and taste it right there at the derailment site off of Taggart Road, right there on the Pennsylvania border where the derailment was. You can't call me un-American. You can't fucking do it because you know goddamn well what I just said is true. It's 100% true. What the fuck am I saying? What am I saying? What I'm saying is true. That's who we have that's waiting on deck to be president. That's what we've got. That's what we've got. And no matter if you want to justify this shooting or not, he sure the fuck could have got out of the way, and he did get out of the way. He did get out of the way, and his fucking 3 bullets to the head of that woman didn't turn those fucking wheels. His fucking shots to her head didn't fucking turn the wheels of that vehicle. They were already turned. And he was already out of harm's way, when he fucking pulled the trigger 3 times. Just like there is irrefutable evidence, of the illegal burn-off of what was more than 34 railroad containers that were carrying hazardous materials, fucking carcinogens, that they fucking illegally burnt off, that they told the firemen to not put out those fires. The firemen were used as fucking props for the media to report on it. And that's the truth. They kept the lights flashing, occasionally had a fucking water cannon going just for the fucking report, a news report. You see that what I mean by inadvertently? Some of the chemicals could have got in a stream that J.D. Vance puts his fucking foot in and waves his hands. Look, over here, East Palestine. I'm telling you the truth, man. You know what? I could fucking do a lot better job in conveying the truth. But what I said, absolutely is the truth. And the same is true with what has happened to the people that are west of the derailment in that disaster. You see, they weren't contaminated with the fucking chemicals. Like how many thousands of people here in western Pennsylvania that it was kept quiet and secret from everyone. No, but what they are contaminated with is the corruption, the fucking lies. The lies. The lie that they will carry so that they can get whatever the fuck 5 containers means. That lying fucking number. 5 containers they base for their silencing settlement. That amount. People that didn't get contaminated, of course they're going to lie for whatever tens of thousands of dollars that means to put in their pocket. So they're corrupted, they're contaminated by the fucking lies. So what does that mean? As you can see, it manifests with J.D. Vance. You would hope that he would be cut to the heart. So his whole walk in Christ is a lie. I can tell you, in Jesus' name, Yeshua of Nazareth, risen, exalted, glorified, there's no way that man could be in the body of Christ and have lied like he did, and now is lying again. At least you find that the officer was at fault. I don't know what kind of, what it is that what jail time or whatever it is, but you do not give him impunity. Impunity? Unless you just want to, scare everybody into not resisting whatever it is that's being done by our federal government. And like I said before, Mr. President, hear this, sir. Yes, sir, you had a choice. You could have fined and arrested using the laws on the books, enforce them, sir, for all of our fellow Americans who employ illegal aliens. You could have gone that route, sir. You could have even had letters sent out to them telling them to stop and then warning them, we're going to fine you. You're going to be arrested if you don't. You could have done that. That could have been it. And guess what? I know people that have hired on illegals, and they would have told them, I'm sorry, you're going to have to go. I can't employ you anymore. And then they would have voluntarily deported. They would have self-deported anyway. Without all this fucking chaos, sir. It could have been done. It could have been done that way, sir. Honestly. And you know it could have been done that way. And still today, are they going after all of these people that have employed illegally employed illegal aliens for decades. Because I know it's people like that. I've met them. They got fucking money and they contribute to local, state, federal campaigns. So in essence, they fucking own you. They're just another person that has a share in your service. I hate to tell you, sir, but you are acting as though that is the case with them. Because you'd go after them if it wasn't. If it wasn't, you would have gone that route, and you didn't. You see, that's why you can't even have the high ground before the living God, because you're ignoring the whole illegality of our fellow Americans who have been employing them, and still there are those that employ them. And you're not holding them accountable with the laws that we already have on the books, sir, enforcing the law. If, sir, you would enforce the law, if you'd go that direction, you enforce the law on our fellow Americans who are illegally employing illegal aliens, then you'd have the high road. Then you would have it. And look what that would mean. That would mean that it wouldn't be all this chaos. I'm sorry to repeat myself and just saying it another way, but that's the truth. That's it. In Jesus' name, that is the truth, sir. That's what you could have done. And you still can. You can do it even now. For whatever reason, maybe I'm guessing, probably a good guess though, having ICE as the largest law enforcement agency in our nation, in our nation's history, there's a reason why you wanted to build them up and have them. And it's more than just for this deportation, because you could have done it a better way, sir. And honestly, sir, whatever I just said, it rings true to whosever ears. It's truth, sir. And everyone knows that. No one will talk about it. Just like when you came out and you know, when you come out and you say something, sir, you set a precedence, Mr. President. You set a precedence. And if you set that precedence, you'd set it in a godly way, one that is pleasing before the living God in Jesus' name. Well, then you'd be working in accord with God's will, and nothing is better than that. And I'm championing you to do the same thing now, sir. You have a great opportunity to do so. You still do. You have free will, sir. You still have that great opportunity. Saying all that I just said, I want what is best for you, sir, Mr. President. I want what's best for your administration. Everyone on your team, I want what's best for our fellow Americans. I do. But that means the way to get there, the only way really, is to do what is pleasing before the living God. And I've made suggestions throughout this thread, and I pray that somebody would make them more succinct and, you know, try to consider something of what I've said to communicate. I don't know. I can hold on to the delusion that I'm talking right to you, Mr. President. I can do that. God's given me that gift too. I can believe. And with that all being said, here I am. I've told you, Mr. President, I have been intentionally stalled by the VA over 7 years. Over 7 years ago, they told me I needed hip replacement surgery. So I needed hip replacement surgery long before that. So I am in a seriously challenging situation. I want the autonomy that the compensation will give me. I could have this surgery done fucking by somebody who would take the precautions that need to be taken, would help me with this, even if my sugar now is fucking high, whatever it is. So I'm asking for a fair and just result. Consider what was done to me when I was in the United States Air Force and what was done to me in the United States Army National Guard. What I've told you, sir, is reason enough. I shouldn't have to expound on it again. But I'm asking, please, I'm asking for retirement status, E8, that's fine. E8 pay grade with compensation from the date of discharge from the Air Force. That would be from July 25th, 1989. Back pay from that date with retirement status over 23 years. I was a career airman. I had the golden ticket. Sir, I'd just been recognized and awarded as being the best that the United States Air Force had in my AFSC, my job, and I was awaiting orders that were being cut for me to serve at the Pentagon in honor of that. When that fucking corrupt congressman from District 17 fucking put in that congressional inquiry and sabotaged my base commander, Colonel Hazeltine's promotion to Brigadier General. The social actions issue was about what was done to me at Al. I've said it over and over again. I didn't even know, I didn't even have that conversation with that congressman. Wasn't anything that I ever tried to do to ever hurt Colonel Hazeltine, but he surely was a vindictive fuck because I ended up in his hands. I should have been in my command's hands from the folks at my squadron at Lackland Air Force Base and not in the hands of Base Command at Altus. I was in a detachment from the 1365th Audiovisual Squadron out of Lackland. There are different sets of records. You will see that the detachment records at Altus were fucking fabricated. They were fucking backdated. You compare them to the records from my command at Lackland, you're going to see a whole different story because they had to fucking backdate, fabricate, exaggerate everything. I was even fast-tracked to NCO. I didn't even have to go to NCO school. That's how. Any serviceman that, if they would hear about this, not knowing anything about me, just hear what the fuck was done to me, being used in a fucking secret virus program when I was a guardsman, injected with a fucking retrovirus that I suffered with for years. There's fucking evidence of it, of all of that, sir. And even when I went to AIT at Fort Gordon, Georgia, the bay that I was in, it was a contagion with the retrovirus I was given early on. And I fucking was so bad, I must have given it to everybody in the bay that I was in there with. All those guys were fucking taken away. All of them. The whole bay was emptied. I was the only one left because I was so stubborn, sir. I was like so stubborn, I'm not going to fucking get recycled. I'm going to make it through this. I don't even remember my fucking training. That's how sick I was. 1983, Fort Jackson, South Carolina. We were the last cycle to go through those World War II barracks atop of Tank Hill. They had planned to tear them out as soon as our cycle was done, probably as a precaution for what the fuck they had injected so many of us with. Lest there, worrying about there being something that was there to, who the fuck knows? What the hell? You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with pathogens. Something like this, designer fucking pathogens. There are things that can happen that, are unexpected. So all of that is true. And everything I have testified to is true. So being a career airman in the Air Force, that means I was on my second enlistment. I had already been, had an honorable discharge from the National Guard and an honorable from the Air Force. I'd never been in any trouble. I was their wonder boy. I tell you, sir, this is just to put things in perspective. I was recognized and awarded as being the best that the United States Air Force had. I was awaiting orders to work, to serve at the Pentagon in honor of that, when that congressional inquiry finally hit the fucking base. They fucked around and took their time with it, probably because that congressman in District 17, Pennsylvania, had some type of quid pro quo worked out with the fucking representative there where Altus Air Force Base is. They took their time to get me out of my fucking workplace, to fucking try to break me down, torture me. Fucking, they did all of that. They did all of that. And I was in base command's hands when they fucking tortured me under Colonel Hazeltine's command, the one who was passed over for Virginia. If you don't find anything wrong with what was done to me, sir, we're in fucking lot bigger trouble than I even had imagined. If you don't see, that there's something wrong with what the fuck was done to me, and me asking for compensation in-house, asking for it, is an act of decency from me. I'm saying there was no fucking formality with me having been surveilled over that multi-billion-dollar fucking disaster that our federal government and state authorities fucking helped hide too. You know that, sir. No formality with keeping their fucking thumb on me to suppress that I could never get anything out about to anyone about that. And you know it's true. What I'm speaking is true. There was no formality in that. In me being fucking monitored, surveilled for how long? Close. Because they thought I had more footage. As it was, I had footage of them illegally burning off containers the day before they did that on the 5th of February 2023. I sent that out to all of the media. That's what sparked the governor of Ohio, that corrupt DeWine, that criminal motherfucker, to what? He declared a false state of emergency. And under that, he activated our Army National Guard to keep people like me out of there from capturing the preparations that they had to make for what was the massive burn-off, illegal burn-off of everything that was left on that site. And they did that under the premise of one container. They said, oh, there's one container that's going to blow up. It's going to send shrapnel out a mile. And all that fucking, that's why they called it a controlled release. But they went in there, they put the fires out that they said they could get nowhere near. They brought in heavy equipment. They dug out fucking trenches along the tracks. They pumped out all of that highly flammable, carcinogenic fucking chemical into those fucking troughs that they dug out with heavy equipment. And then they went ahead and lit it up on the 6th in the afternoon. You saw the plume. And then you saw the fucking fallout from that here in Pennsylvania from my videos. But that fallout that I captured, that's the way it was for 3 days here in Pennsylvania. Those derailment fires on the 3rd were massive. And you could see them on radar all the way down to fucking Rochester, Monaca, Aliquippa. That's fucking 20 miles from here. And you can see them on radar. You can see those, when they disappear off of radar, it's because those particles are on the ground. They had properties. The chemicals had properties that the Honorable Sil Sagano, a fire chief from Youngstown, who went on Channel 27 Youngstown News on the evening of the 5th when Governor DeWine declared that false state of emergency, after I'd sent out that footage of them burning off containers in Pennsylvania to all the media. That's when the media, someone from the media, obviously, from me capturing the media in my video, them knowing that they worked with those criminals. They're complicit in it all, in carrying that fucking narrative. Good Lord. Oh, motherfuckers. I lost my fucking, should have had, you know what, extemporaneously, I have fucking testified to every bit of this. Purposely, I didn't have any fucking bullet fucking outline. Purposely, I did through everything that I've testified to. It was meant that I captured the video so that I would be monitored by state and federal authorities because of what happened on the 12th of December of that year, 2023. What happened? The Most High God expressed his will for there to be a ceasefire in Palestine. He numbered the nations that cast their vote for an immediate ceasefire and for aid to be brought into those people immediately. He numbered the nations, 153 nations, just as he numbered the fish that were in the net that Jesus said cast the net to the right side of the boat in the gospel account according to John in chapter 21. So Yah numbered it in Jesus' name. That's what it is. It's in the signature of Christ. So you know. Everything I've spoken on this matter is absolute truth. It may be the greatest miracle that any of us have witnessed in our time. When you have the Most High God steps into time and expresses his will, what he wants done, so that everyone can see. Everyone knows. That's something pretty awesome, isn't it? If you think about it. Because I like to think of it this way. He didn't take anyone's free will from them in order to get those numbers. So it's something that Yah, had planned and did. It's taken years for that to culminate with that vote. Do you understand? He didn't force anybody to cast their vote for an immediate ceasefire. It was of their own free will. Just as he could have forced you, Mr. President, to put every bit of pressure that you could on Israel to stop. He didn't take away your free will, but you've had the witness that it was and is God's will that those people in Palestine, that there was to be a ceasefire and that they were to be given the aid that they needed. And you've known this, just as Biden knew. I can't imagine anyone vetoing the will of God. To veto the will of God. When you saw that diver went into that cave, and he turned around at 153 feet. The number was, he numbered that so that it would go along with the testimony with his will on the 12th of December 2023. Why? Because is that what he was saying? And one thing that was communicated in that is, turn around and I'll lead you out of this thing. And if anyone thinks that this is over, you must be fucking crazy to think that this is over. That this whole matter is something that, is all in your hands, your autonomy to mold with what Israel, the nation state, the imposter Israel, what they've done. How many in the body of Christ? How many has the Most High God heard in their petitions as they carried the petitions of all of those people in Palestine? Yahweh is totally a God of order. Order. There's the way things are done. And I know that what I just said is true. I know it. It was all for a purpose. I was given free will to be where Yah was or not early on after October 7th. I recognized as I was bawling my eyes out, as I was crying out, I was like, man, these are tears of the living God. And I recognized Yah's tears all over the world. I recognized them. And I had no doubt, just as I have no doubt today. There's no diffidence in anything I say. I want to be respectful as I can. But I'm not insecure or diffident in any way about anything I've said. In Jesus' name, Yeshua of Nazareth, risen, exalted, glorified of Almighty God Yahweh. That's right. Jesus is not the Almighty God. Jesus is God's only begotten Son. He is God's firstborn of creation. All things were created through him and for him. He is God's expression of love. So, I would appreciate a fair and just result. I'd appreciate compensation from the date of discharge from the United States Air Force at an E8 pay grade, E8 retirement status, over 23 years. I have no doubt that my work ethic, my talents, I would have gone as high as the ceiling was as an enlisted man, and that I would have stayed in at least 23 years. And that I would have gone on with what it was that I had accomplished and worked in a GS position and made a shitload of money there as well. All my opportunities were truncated, and I would like compensation, at least have compensation at that pay grade from the period of time from my discharge, please. The retirement status, I would much prefer that. Yes. So please, if you would expedite that for me, I would appreciate that. As if I'm asking for the 53 times anyway, or what was it? How many times through this thread? How many times have I asked for a fair and just result? How many times have I given testimony what the hell was done to me? So please, can we drop formalities and cause this to become? I see where you are fucking taking our tax dollars and giving them to fucking criminals like those people that are called settlers and they're in Israel. And I see how monstrous those fucking people are and what's being done with our tax dollars. I see so much corruption. So, I would think that you could go ahead and please give me an honorable, fair, and just result here. Please. I don't know how many times, Mr. President, I've asked for a fair and just result. I just said 53. I have no idea. It sure seems like I've asked quite a few times. But I would appreciate it if it would be expedited. I need reconstructive surgery done on my mouth from what was done to me at the 2 dental schools, but especially there in Pittsburgh. And I need this hip replacement surgery. I need amenities. I need facilities that right now aren't offered to me in the protocols that are given through the Veterans Administration. I need autonomy. I want to make a move from here. I would appreciate that be expedited as soon as possible, like tomorrow, like now, please. Please. Thank you.